computers were being developed, actual working computers, and it was widely believed, and still is, that sooner or later there'll be, these massive computers with very rapid processing, and they can deal with huge amounts of data and carry out some statistical procedure on the data, and something miraculous will come out. It's still very widely believed, and people are very misled by it. In fact, there's something called the Turing test, which you've probably heard about, which every year there's a competition. If you win it, you get $100,000 to pass something called the Turing test. A totally meaningless task. It's supposed to show, can you show that machines think? It's all based on a paper of Alan Turing's, who was a great mathematician and one of the founders of computational science. And there's an 8-page paper that he wrote in 1950 on whether machines can think. But he starts off the paper by saying the question whether machines can think is too meaningless to deserve discussion. That sentence has somehow been ignored in the entire literature, and there's a good reason for it, because to ask whether machines think is basically asking what kind of metaphor you like. It's like asking, do submarines swim? Well, from a certain point of view, you can say so. From another point of view, not. But it's not a meaningful question. He proposed this imitation game, which is now called the Turing test, but he proposed it for a different reason. He said it'll be interesting the idea is to see if you can construct a program that'll delude a blind observer, one who doesn't see what's going on, to not be able to distinguish the program from a person. Okay. He says it'll be useful for trying to, as a challenge, to create bigger machines, better machines. Okay, maybe so. In fact, probably was. But it doesn't tell you anything about whether machines can think. In fact, the whole idea of machines thinking is posed in a way which is almost designed to cause confusion. I should say that the people who are confused by this are some of the leading philosophers, the most influential philosophers, and scientists and others. It's not a trivial thing. I won't mention names, but many of you know. For one thing, a machine, the computer itself, is maybe useful as a paperweight. It doesn't do anything. What is doing anything is the program that you put into it. Okay, so if you want to pose the meaningless question, it should be, can programs think? Well, what's a program? A program is just a theory written in a crazy notation so that a computer can implement it. So the question really is, well, can this theory think? In other words, is this a theory of thinking? Well, the answer is not unless you understand something about of thinking. Nothing's a theory of X just because it passes some meaningless test. It's a theory of X if it gives you some insight and understanding into the nature of X. So the real question is, are the theories that are written in these programs giving us some insight into the nature of thinking? And as soon as you pose that question, you don't even bother with the prize, because of course they're not.